Hello and welcome, Rahti. I'm super excited to have you here.
I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, it's always fun to hang out with you. So, where in this lovely world are you? And let people know, what's your business?
I am in Brooklyn, New York City, and my business is Creative Calling Coaching LLC. I am a coach who helps creative entrepreneurs like filmmakers, artists, app developers with ADHD and other neurodivergent challenges finish things. That's really what it's about. Finishing your work and getting it out into the world so you can make money doing what you love.
I love this. I just could not love this more because, we've talked about this many times. I'm always saying, like, everybody I know talks about, I help creatives, get more creative. And creatives go like, I don't need you. I've got plenty of ideas, but
I just have to pick one.
yes, that's the challenge, right?
Yes.
That's the hard bit, is to go beyond that initial moment of enthusiasm,
Yes.
and then you get all excited, but then when it gets into the step by step where the novelty wears off a little bit, and to continue the steps while other new ideas always scratch on the door, right? So what's the biggest challenge for creatives? Like, what's the hardest piece for them?
Getting pulled in 50 directions. It could be because of all these other ideas they have, or shiny object syndrome, also known as that's a better thing I should be doing. And it could be personal things. For instance, I have worked with authors who have been published and their lives are very different. They have children and they're married, and all of a sudden they have to write a second novel they're contracted for, and they just find it very easy to get pulled into life and personal matters, and it's all important. So really finding a container, helping them create a container in which their work doesn't become deprioritized, and yet they are also including all the other facets that make us human. If you're an artist and you don't have a life, I don't think you're going to have a lot to say.
That's true. Now, well, that makes perfect sense. Like, what I'm curious about, because I relate to the creative bit, right? There's always a new idea. What are specific challenges that neurodivergent creatives face? Like, what's different? Like, I can relate to the, oh my God, there's always a new idea, and picking one is hard. I can relate to all of that, right? So what are some specific, like, what's different for somebody with ADHD?
Well, most of the time, it seems to me people with ADHD, and they could be on the spectrum, they could have other neurodivergent challenges. I myself have one. We are like the things that mess with everybody else on steroids. We are highly sensitive, highly sensitized. If you're neurotypical and you obsess about something, if you have ADHD, I bet you go down a rabbit hole that goes to the other side of the planet. The rumination, those mental hijackings can be so profound and debilitating. So it's not just about creating a structure in which to do your creative work. It's also developing what we call now mental fitness concurrently, so that you begin to develop what's called executive function. And we all have executive function. And people with ADHD, it tends to be less developed. Executive function is things like knowing how long something's going to take, being able to separate how you feel if you know you have to do something by a certain deadline, be able to manage your feelings. This is also why a lot of people with ADHD have challenges in relationships, because sometimes in a relationship, you have to put a moratorium on a conflict for the sake of the life you have together with someone. So it's really emotional regulation is part of it. All the things that might make that person brilliant
I was just thinking, this sounds like a superpower, like that's going off in a million directions, making unusual connection. It's almost like, well, that's the superpower of a creative, right?
It is. And, just like you better know if you get on the back of a racehorse, you better know how to ride it. It's like getting to, the coaching for me, I think of myself as more of a driving instructor and a road buddy. I'm not therapists, they're the car mechanics. They're going to fix the car.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in your Maserati with you and help you learn to shift the gears most efficiently and also decide where you want to go and get there in the most comfortable, expeditious way possible. So,
so I'm imagining this fancy rally car and you're the person on the side, go turn left, do this, like go, so that they get the most out of the car and the track and everything. Right. That's I love that.
Adjust the rear view mirror a little bit. Okay. Are you looking, how far down the road are you looking? The horizon, not the car right in front of you only. Just really, it's all of those things. And the idea, I think, especially with ADHD coaching, is to coach yourself out of a job in the sense that you are your client's executive function for a while. They start working with you and hearing the prompts. I mean, I don't tell people what to do, but I will prompt people with questions. Like, where do you want to go? Or if we come up with a strategy, what could possibly go wrong?
Do you find people find it hard to, I think, like you said it before, like the finishing piece, right? So I'm especially curious about that because, like, as like I had a creative business like my first business. And so you learn to be creative on deadline. And one piece that I've really noticed that you sort of cultivate over time is this moment of when good is good enough, because I can spend, like 10 hours hand stitching the inner edge of whatever, which adds no practical value to the garment. It eats up a lot of my time, So if I want to sell the thing, I wouldn't do that. If I'm just the artist, if I can do whatever I want, I might, right? So do you find that that's hard to say like, okay, this is good now, this is good to ship? Or do you have like people struggle with perfectionism, like, is it good enough? And then you fuck with it for so long that you, almost like make no money from it, because you've taken so long to do it.
It's so precious. It's so, a project that you come up with can be so precious. And actually a great way to avoid getting into perfectionist is to create a deadline. Not having a deadline.
You make yourself one.
Yeah, you make one. And then the next challenge, of course, is helping people respect their own deadlines the way they respect someone else's.
Yes. I was just thinking about that, like, if I have my own, then I'm like, well, I know it was just me making it up. So, you've written a book.
Coaching conversation. I become the accountability, but and there are a lot of ways to deal with that. Sometimes the way, for instance, an artist, I'll use writer again, works on projects for other people is very informative. Like I work with one person who's a ghostwriter, and she has to show up and get certain things done. And the way she does that, it hadn't occurred to her to apply to her own work in terms of the way she structured her time and the way she approached it. So we're starting to get equal weight given to her work,
That's a game changer. Yeah.
It is a game changer. And there's no reason. It's a good sign if you can apply your skill set to someone else's deadline. That's a very good sign. Then we just have to work through whatever the underlying beliefs and mental habits are that keep you from doing that for yourself. And that's very hard to see. I mean, as a mirror, I'm a coach. As a coach, I'm a mirror, excuse me. You know, people come to me and I tell them what I see. And, that's, if somebody has mustard on their face, you're going to tell them, yeah, you got a little something right here,
Yeah.
And
I love it. So you've written a book. Tell us about the book.
I have actually, as I was talking, I was thinking about it because those internal obstacles are the biggest shining objects of them all. Emotions, how you feel, getting in the way of what you want. And the book I wrote is called The 5 Emotions That Stop Success. It's put out by Routledge Press, and it's actually a much longer title, but I call it The 5 Emotions That Stop Success. Routledge wants every keyword in the title, so they call it The 5 Emotions That Stop Success, Coaches, Clients, and Creatives Overcoming Personal Obstacles of the Mind. But just the 5 emotions that stop success. And they are categories, of course, because there are myriad emotions, but it's almost like primary colors. These 5 emotions, shame, grandiosity, envy, of which I've identified 2 kinds, boredom and fear, are the primary colors emotionally that underlie people's getting in their own way. And perfectionism that you brought up, to me, has a lot to do with grandiosity.
Yeah. So where can people get their hands on the book and find out more about you and your work and get in touch and all of those lovely things?
They can go to the book's website, which is the5emotions.com. And
cool name.
Yeah, it's very simple. You go there, and if you buy it through the website, you get a discount. You also get a free gift that you can download. That's, I think, a nice companion to the book.
Awesome.
And you can also go to my linktree/Coach Rahti.
Love it. Rahti, we're obviously going to pop the links in below above, wherever we see it. Thank you so much. I love to, to follow your work and see how you help creatives get their best work out, because, that's really where the rubber hits the road, to go back to our car analogy.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.